we are coming to you with breaking news. Officials have just confirmed that the cyber attack has compromised critical infrastructure across 3 states.
The $50 million daycare that had no children. How a federal raid exposed America's biggest fraud network. Imagine walking into a daycare center that's supposed to be caring for 500 children, and finding absolute silence. No crying babies, no laughing toddlers, no chaos of snack time or nap time. Just empty rooms, cribs still wrapped in factory plastic, and a kitchen with no food. Now imagine finding something else instead, a hidden safe the size of a refrigerator, packed floor to ceiling with $50 million in cash. And then imagine discovering that your tax dollars paid for every single bill in that safe, and that money was being wired overseas to fund armed conflicts you never knew existed. This isn't a movie plot. This happened last Tuesday morning in Columbus, Ohio. And what federal agents uncovered in that raid has exposed a fraud network so massive, so sophisticated, and so dangerous that it's forcing us to ask an uncomfortable question: how many more of these operations are hiding in plain sight across America right now? What started as a routine audit of childcare subsidies has turned into a national security investigation spanning multiple states, involving hundreds of suspects, and revealing a scheme that weaponized American compassion against American taxpayers. This is the story of how a government program designed to help poor families became a $50 million pipeline funding foreign insurgencies. And it's a story that every American needs to hear. Let me take you back to that Tuesday morning. At exactly 9 a.m., federal agents from the FBI, working in coordination with ICE enforcement teams, breached the front doors of Little Stars Academy in Columbus, Ohio. This wasn't a small operation. Over 200 agents executed simultaneous search warrants across 12 locations in Columbus and Minneapolis. They had been planning this raid for months, building a case so airtight that when they finally moved, they knew exactly what they'd find. Little Stars Academy was registered as a licensed child care facility participating in Ohio's Title 20 program, a federal and state-funded initiative designed to help low-income families afford quality child care while parents work. On paper, Little Stars was a model facility, modern, well-equipped, and caring for 500 children daily. The state of Ohio was paying this facility approximately $1 million per month based on attendance records showing full capacity, 8 hours a day, 5 days a week. But when agents walked through those doors, they found something that made seasoned investigators stop in their tracks. The building was completely empty. Not a single child was present. Not a single staff member caring for anyone. The cribs lined up in neat rows had never been used, they were still wrapped in their original packaging. The industrial kitchen designed to prepare meals for hundreds had no food, no supplies, no evidence of ever having been operated. What they did find changed everything. Behind a false wall in the manager's office, agents discovered a safe that required 4 men to move. Inside was $50 million in cash, non-sequential bills in various denominations, rubber-banded and stacked with the precision of a bank vault. But the money was just the beginning. Hidden in ceiling tiles, buried in the backyard, and stuffed inside walls throughout the building, agents found hundreds of passports, detailed financial ledgers, and wire transfer receipts showing millions of dollars moving overseas to accounts flagged by international intelligence agencies as connected to designated terror organizations. This wasn't just fraud. This was a sophisticated money laundering operation using American taxpayer dollars to fund conflicts thousands of miles away. To understand how this happened, you need to understand how brilliantly simple the scheme was. The Title 20 Child Care Assistance Program works like this: low-income families apply for help paying for daycare so parents can work. Once approved, the state pays the daycare provider directly, typically around $2,000 per child per month, depending on the child's age and care needs. It's a vital program that helps millions of American families. And like many vital programs, it operates largely on trust. The organizers of this fraud network, many of whom investigators have linked to clan networks originally from East Africa, identified this trust as a vulnerability they could exploit at industrial scale. Here's how the scheme worked. Recruiters would approach mothers within their community, often recent immigrants, often struggling financially, and offer them what seemed like free money. The mothers would sign their children up for childcare assistance through the state. The state would approve the assistance and agree to pay a daycare center run by the fraud network. But here's the key: the children never actually attended the daycare. They were ghost children, existing only on paper. The daycare would bill the state for full-time care, 8 hours a day, 5 days a week, 50 weeks a year, generating approximately $24,000 per child annually. In exchange for their participation in silence, the mothers received cash kickbacks of around $500 per month. To them, it seemed like found money, a small benefit for doing nothing more than signing paperwork. They didn't understand, or perhaps didn't want to understand, that they were participating in organized fraud. Meanwhile, the daycare operators pocketed the remaining $1,500 per child per month, multiplied across hundreds or even thousands of ghost children. The math is staggering. A single fake daycare claiming to care for 300 children could generate $720,000 per month in fraudulent payments. That's over $8.5 million per year from just one location. The scheme didn't unravel because someone's conscience got the better of them. It unraveled because the operators got greedy and sloppy. State auditors began noticing impossible anomalies in the data. Single-family homes with 1,500 square feet were claiming to provide full-time care for 400 toddlers. Facilities with occupancy permits for 50 people were billing for 300 children. Daycares in residential neighborhoods were reporting attendance numbers that would require buses dropping off kids every 5 minutes for 3 straight hours each morning. The numbers simply didn't add up. When auditors started asking questions, they hit walls of paperwork, enrollment forms, attendance sheets, meal logs, all meticulously falsified. But one auditor noticed something crucial: many of these facilities had the same IP address on their digital submissions. They were literally using the same computer to file fraudulent claims for dozens of supposedly independent businesses. That discovery triggered a federal investigation. The FBI initiated Operation Ghost Cradle, a multi-agency task force that included federal prosecutors, IRS criminal investigators, state welfare fraud units, and immigration enforcement. For weeks, surveillance teams sat outside these facilities documenting a damning pattern. Little Stars Academy claimed 300 children were checked in by 8 a.m. every day, but agents outside counted only 3 people entering the building all day, the owner arriving in a $250,000 Range Rover, a security guard, and a courier carrying empty duffel bags that left hours later visibly full and heavy. Thermal imaging confirmed the building was empty. They were literally billing millions to heat vacant rooms. The evidence was overwhelming. On that Tuesday morning, when agents executed the raids, they weren't fishing, they knew exactly what they'd find because they'd been watching it happen in real time. What shocked them was the scale. The $50 million in cash at Little Stars was just one location. Across the 12 raided sites, agents seized over $75 million in currency, plus luxury vehicles, real estate deeds, jewelry, and financial records documenting the movement of hundreds of millions more. But the most disturbing discovery was what happened to the money after it was stolen. Forensic accounting by Treasury Department analysts revealed that approximately 60% of the fraudulently obtained funds were being laundered through Hawala networks, informal money transfer systems common in Middle Eastern and African communities that operate outside traditional banking oversight. From there, the money was wired overseas to accounts controlled by organizations designated by the U.S. government as terror groups. Let that sink in. Your tax dollars, intended to help poor American families afford childcare, were being systematically stolen and used to purchase weapons, fund militant operations, and support insurgencies in the Horn of Africa. The Ghost Daycare wasn't just a fraud scheme, it was a logistics hub for foreign combatants operating on American soil. The operators weren't simply criminals looking to get rich. They were enemy combatants using America's own social safety net as a weapon against American interests. As federal authorities dig deeper, uncomfortable questions are emerging. How did this operate for years without detection? Multiple whistleblowers have now come forward claiming they raised red flags years ago but were ignored or actively silenced. State officials reportedly worried that investigating minority-owned businesses would expose them to accusations of racial profiling or discrimination. Political correctness became operational security for organized crime. The fear of being called intolerant allowed a $50 million heist to happen in broad daylight, month after month, year after year. The human cost extends beyond stolen money. Every dollar fraudulently claimed was a dollar unavailable for legitimate families who desperately needed childcare assistance. Wait lists grew longer. Legitimate small daycare providers struggled to compete with facilities that could undercut them because they had no actual operating costs. And American workers funded, unknowingly, conflicts that have destabilized entire regions and created refugee crises that ripple globally. The raids have concluded, but the investigation is accelerating. Federal prosecutors are now examining similar patterns in at least 15 other states. The scheme appears to have been replicated nationwide with stunning consistency: same recruitment methods, same falsified paperwork, same overseas money transfers. Investigators believe there are potentially thousands of ghost businesses across the country operating the same scam, draining billions from programs meant to serve the vulnerable. Indictments are coming. Asset forfeitures are underway. Deportation proceedings have begun for non-citizens involved. But the larger question haunts policymakers: how do we protect vital social programs from sophisticated fraud without creating bureaucratic barriers that hurt the people these programs are designed to serve? The answer isn't simple. It requires smarter oversight, better data analytics, and the courage to investigate suspicious patterns regardless of the political optics. This scandal should be a wake-up call. When we allow fear of being called names to prevent legitimate law enforcement, we don't protect minorities, we enable criminals who hide among them and ultimately harm those communities most. Real compassion requires real accountability. The raid on Little Stars Academy exposed more than $50 million in cash. It exposed a system exploited by those who understood that America's greatest weakness isn't our military or our economy, it's our unwillingness to enforce our own rules when enforcement might be uncomfortable. Justice is no longer silent. It's counting receipts. And across America, ghost businesses are about to become very real defendants.